Hello there. It's Coast to Coast AM that you're listening to. It is the last hour of the evening. Open lines happening right now. Friday night, well, going into Saturday morning. Saturday morning for a lot of people, just now getting up to get their coffee and ready for their day. I'll be back on tomorrow night here on Coast to Coast AM with a couple guests, and I think you're going to enjoy that too. Always check Coast to Coast AM for our listings and our schedule and our guests and past guests, future guests, so you can also learn more about them. Thank you once again, Dr. Jeffrey Long, for hanging out with us for an extra hour and just joining us for the night. He's an amazing guy. I love his research, and he's open to listening to anything and everything anybody has to say. I mean, he wants to learn. He's a sponge, and it's nice that he helps share what he shares with us. So as open lines continue, we'll go to the phones. Just a reminder that you can find me outside of here at my website. It's very easy. Just go to conniewillis.com. And I'd love for you to join my shows. A lot of you want to go on investigations of Bigfoot and UFOs and hauntings, and you just really can't get out, whether you have family happening or you're in a location you can't get where you want to get. Maybe you live in a city somewhere. Well, all you have to do is join my show. It's a paid membership show. It's what keeps my lights on. And it is about experiencing and communicating with whatever it is that we're at. If we're at a haunting, communicating with the ghost or what might be there, the spirits. And my absolute favorite, because I grew up in a haunted house, so I already had that ghost follow me around all the time. But I really enjoy going up to the Rockies or anywhere Bigfooting. I love it. It doesn't matter where, because the communication happens and just learning. It's always an adventure. There's always something new that happens. You can't expect anything. You just got to let these things occur, and it'll just blow your mind. And we've been batting 1,000 with the activity. You just got to know where to go, and you got to go to the right places, and they got to like you. There's a whole lot of things you can learn, and you can be a part of the investigation with the other Blue Rockers. So that is Blue Rock Talk. I hope you'll join that. So go to conniewillis.com and join it. Go there and join. Come on. Join us. It's a lot of fun. All right, let's go back to the phones. We've got our open lines happening. We got a lot of you on the phones. Remember, Dr. Jeffrey Long is no longer here, so you're not going to be able to ask him any questions. I'm not him. I'll do my best of answering anything I can, but it's really more of kind of just talking together, because I can't answer the things he answers. That's for sure. So let's go to east of the Rockies and talk to John out of Alberta, Canada. Hey there.
Alberta.
Hey there, John. You're on the air. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I just was curious. Now, if I'm following this correctly, when you pass on, the afterlife is you are all knowing, so you know everything, but there's no physicality to it, and you speak telepathically. So you just kind of sit in space saying to other people telepathically, yeah, I know. Yeah, no, I understand. I know. And so, like, where's the whole thing? Because it doesn't strike me as being kind of like, so I'm just kind of curious if you'd had an idea about that.
Well, you're cutting out a little bit, so let me try to answer what you did ask, and thank you for that. Well, he did say the things you said, and he's giving feedback from what he gets. You know, everybody has different experiences, but he was talking the majority is what you had mentioned. He didn't get. Keep in mind, these are near-death experiences, so they pop back. They're not there for long periods of time. They're there for short periods of time, even though with them they don't deal with time. But it's kind of like they get this quick glimpse and then they come back. It's not like they're hanging around and they get to go, fly around space or this or that or whatever. So that would have been it. He's no longer here to answer, but that would have been a very good question to say, okay, what else are they doing while they're there? And, maybe they don't even have that recollection because they're not there long. They come back, right? He's talking about near-death experiences. He's not talking about crossing over and staying there and what happens. And a lot of people can answer that one too. And we didn't even get into pre-birth where he was going to talk about that. We just ran out of time. Just always the case. He's got decades of research, and we just have a couple hours here that we're talking to him. But good question. I don't think it's going to be boring. I don't think that would be the case at all. But yeah, it'd be nice to know what else would happen, but you'd have to just cross over to find that out. I think we'll all figure that out at one point, but thank you very much for that question. Let's go to Joe, wildcard line number 4. Wildcard line number 4 out of Monterey, California. All right, Joe, I'm ready for you. What do you got for me?
Okay, thank you, Connie. Gee, the wildcard line. I might have to live up to
that. You will.
I've been at this for 54 years, a paranormal study, and it's kind of strange because anyone that goes into this, anyone that you talk to, it slowly builds up. The more experiences they have, the more experiences they get, and the more.
Wait a minute, how many years?
54 years.
I thought you were like 26. You've been telling me stories. Okay.
I when I came out of the Navy in 1969, my sisters were going to seances, and I said, "Whoa, that's what I really want to do."
Scary.
And I started doing that, and a few other things. I was investigating pyramids at that time and the energies of different things. It's an exciting field. There are people way more advanced than me. I didn't meet them right away, but eventually you meet them along the way. And they show you things, they teach you things, and you share a lot of information. More importantly, the experiences start to get more and more intense. And there are people that don't call up coast to coast. They do listen because once in a while it's rare that someone would call, and they are so far beyond many of the people, many of the guests even, that it says, whoa, at least I'm not alone. I know that they're out there because I meet them at these expos. Angels and archangels, incarnated angels and archangels like that, and extraterrestrial starseeds. You find them when you're into this, and you know for a fact, when you're investigating something, you develop a certain energy, and those doors will open up. Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's true.
And if you're a remote viewer, you're going to start seeing things that you don't want to talk about too often.
It's true.
Well, yes, and you'll be looking over your shoulder a lot too. I do a lot of past lives. I do a lot of in-between lives with my clientele. My clients, I don't tell them their past life. I bring them to their past lives so they could see it and they could heal themselves. They could work on their karma. They can communicate to who they were in their past lives. But the most exciting things is the life between lives and the different beings that you can meet. The thing about this is that we're finding out more and more. We have our questions. We have our doubts about how the universe works and when you die. And when you die, there's something that goes on that more and more people are writing about finally, because like I say, when those doors are open and the knowledge comes through, it's like a chain reaction. And when people are ready, they will find the answers in areas of life that they don't expect. Now, I appreciate the work that people do as their guests, and I really have to be a lot more merciful when I call up and challenge them, because I know they are working and giving out information at a level where some of the listeners, they don't know, and they're looking for answers. And this is a show that has to cater to a whole spectrum of developed souls. So you're not going to get some spiritual.
Well, it's not even. Well, keep in mind, too, it's not that we're catering to the generic audience. It's not that at all. It's whatever the guest gives us. that, hey, like you right now, you're giving your information, but don't say we're catering to a generic audience. Don't even go there, Joe. Don't even go there. You're right now having a chance to throw out the knowledge that you have, and I'm keeping the mic open for you to do that. And I love that. And I try to find as many people as deep as possible, like you, to be able to talk about these things. I do that. I know that I do that. So, but it, don't say that we just hit a generic audience and bring in generic guests with generic information.
Well, as a host, you're in the hot seat. You have to make sure that you can get the best interview you can with what you're given. And you do.
Well, I go out and get it. I get the people, but I also, I take it as deep as I possibly can and as deep as they can take it. But hey, those other people that know more, let's go. Let's talk about it. Let's do that. But I'm also not just, what is this? What is that? What is this? It's a conversation. Sometimes you just travel there.
Well, I know that you don't begin with so much of an introduction and stay there. You ask important questions, and the guests are very willing to open up. More importantly, you do the field work. And anyone who does the field work has to be respected.
Yeah, you got to go out there. That's how you can ask the deeper questions. That's how I know you go deep, too. You go very deep.
I have the opportunity to meet some very special people in my life. I think the only thing that makes me special are the people that I meet.
True. because and we both respect each other, by the way, you guys, me and Joe. I totally respect Joe. He's got great, he knows what he's doing. In fact, how do people even get in touch with you to be, to do any regressions or anything that you do? Are you available for people to do that still?
There are people that are, they're like magic. You be in their presence, and they're like a walking vortex. You have experience, and I know you have done that. I know you've been in that situation where you meet someone and the magic happens. In fact, there are places where people go.
Yeah.
And these are moments that we cherish, and these are our learning moments. And anyone that goes on Coast to Coast that writes a book, they have dedicated a lot of time and a lot of part of their life, and they should be respected for that. And that alone, regardless of what they're talking about.
Well, be ready for tomorrow with, we got Mystic Dave, but also somebody that you'll probably really enjoy too, as much as Dave the Mystic for sure, but Regan Forston. He follows Dolores Cannon, what she had taught. And he talks about the lives. What did you say? Lives between lives?
Well,
he talks about that.
We don't it's not life after life. It's one continuous life. We just change bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Change the vehicle.
And we're not a spiritual person having a physical experience. We are always a spiritual person having a spiritual experience at the level of our knowledge and consciousness. And we need to look at life as a one big spiritual experience, even though it's a physical one.
So, how do people get a hold of you? Do you still teach? Do you still work with people?
Excuse me, I didn't get that.
Are you still working with people? Are you still teaching classes or working with anybody? Can people get a hold of you?
I'm open for discussion. I'm on Facebook. People can find me there. I have 4 videos on YouTube if people want to look at that. They're usually for people who they were done at psychic fairs. So it's really the people that come in there, maybe for the first time they're hearing this. So I have to be cautious that my words are understood and they get the basic stuff. But I could be found, I'm not.
How do they find you?
How do they find me?
What's the video? What's the YouTube videos under?
You're talking to a person who has severe psychic attack,
Yeah. Oh,
pretty
that's
bad.
right. That's right. Yep.
And
Yep.
because okay, on the astral plane, I'm a warrior. Okay, in this world, the physical world, I'm just a plain ordinary guy. I do some spiritual healing. I do a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of stuff, but I do know about psychic attack. I do know that it's not all love and light because I have to deal with the dark side because my clients that do come to me need severe help. They're
Agreed.
they're they need to have an army take care of stuff for
Mm-hmm.
them because they're under severe psychic attack. Now, that doesn't happen as much as people believe, but I always check for entities around the person. I'm an exorcist, and I'm good at it, but I don't get the big clients that you hear that they're spitting up. Well, only once. They don't float in the air because at that point they're going to a lot of different professional, like priests and stuff, because that's the orientation people have. That's fine with
Yeah.
me. If they can get the help, I'm all for it. But yes, I do exorcism, so I know that it's not all love and light, and my clients sometimes understand that too. It's not difficult to give. It's not easy to give bad news over the air. I don't want people to be in a state of panic and paranoia. They're more powerful than they believe themselves to be. And that's a good message for anyone that comes on Coast to Coast.
Well, we appreciate that message for sure. And just so tell them how to find. So you don't want anybody to find you, right? You don't want anybody to find you. So we'll just go with that because you do call in often. So appreciate it, Joe. Thanks for calling in. Let's go real quick. See if we can take another quick call here. Let's go to. Come on, we got to talk to Cornelius because we got to say hello to him. Wild card line number 3. Cornelius, how are you?
Hey, Miss Connie Willis. Love hearing talking about your dead and haunted houses. I was telling Gina, the call screener, I hope you'll give me enough time. You gave Joe plenty of time. But I want to tell everybody, too, I don't have a website per se, but you can go to Cornelius Lawson White, and John has set up a website for me. At our city council meeting a couple of weeks ago, you'll hear me speaking, but you'll hear another voice that's almost behind me. So
Whoa.
John says it's a demon. It's demonic and stuff. So I hope people will go to that website since poor Joe doesn't want to announce his website or anything like that. But John, he's really helped me out a whole lot. And I'm inviting you to Louisiana. You and all them Bigfoot hunters, that guy in California, I guess he wants to meet you, but I want you to come to find Bigfoot here in Louisiana. While
And they are
fires and stuff, Bigfoot may be coming out of the swamp and coming into the city.
There you go. Cornelius there. Thanks so much for calling in. It is open lines, and we hope to hear from you. I know I was trying to pull it out of him, but, Joe doesn't some people are like, no, I don't want anybody calling me. I do enough. I already do enough, and I get it. It's all good. It's all good. Thanks for calling in. We'll take more of your calls when we come back on Coast to Coast AM. Coast to Coast AM, Connie Willis here. It is open lines. We are taking your phone calls. It is the last segment. I'm getting tweeted. I don't even know if you can say that anymore. Anybody that's on Twitter, I mean, what do we call it now, by the way? What's going on over there with Elon? He's just taking over? Well, I mean, I guess he can because he did take over, right? I just don't know what it is anymore. Maybe you can let me know. But lots of emails coming in as well as those of you calling. So let's go ahead and hit the lines. I just want to say thank you for that. And you guys are very kind. You're very caring. And by the way, when Joe called in, because I know I'm getting a lot of calls about that, or I'm getting a lot of emails about Joseph calling in. No, he is a good guy. He really is. And he knows his stuff. He's been doing it a long, long time. We respect each other's knowledge and work, and he knows a lot, and he can teach a lot. And he's just gone through so much and still is. And he still continues to work with people, but he said he may put out something on his Facebook so people will know how to reach him, but then maybe not. So he just goes through a lot. He's been through a lot, but he's a good guy, and he is definitely, we both respect each other for sure. And he calls in all the time. He's always right there. He's always right there if you need him to. All right, where are we going to go here? Let's go east of the Rockies and talk to Don out of Ohio. Hey there, Don. Welcome to Coast to Coast.
Oh, it's Connie. Hey, happy Sabbath. I wanted to talk a little bit about the life review. And this is when people, just before they die, they relive their life. They start, from the point of death, and they go backwards. They go all the way back to their childhood, even back into their infancy, and then they're in this tunnel. They're traveling through their tunnel, and then they approach this light. And I'm thinking, the mind is so amazing that it records all this information from the beginning of consciousness. And I'm thinking, this life review, is this actually their birth? And the tunnel is, the birthing process, and the light that they see for the first time is actually the operating room light, and that's imprinted on their mind. Now, the reason why I say that, when you hear these people talking in telepathy with each other, in the Bible, it never says anything about that. Now, aliens do it when, people are abducted in that. But if you go into, like, the book of Revelation, the angel gives the loud cry. So it's a very distinct. There's no question. It's a verbal thing. And then you have the Mount of Transfiguration, where Moses and Elijah appeared with Jesus. The apostles heard them in an audible sense. Then when you go into, like, the Witch of Endor, when King Saul tried to conjure up, the body of Samuel, the demon that was impersonating him was talking in a verbal voice. So, we got to be very careful, because the Bible says at the end time there's going to be great deceptions, and people will believe a lie. And one of the lies is immortality, that you're going to, once you transition, you go to another life form. Well, in Matthew 27, it says the saints came out of the grave and they went into the city. So it's called soul sleep. You're only given immortality after the judgment, and then you'll live, of course, forever in heaven in that. But a lot of things, I didn't want to talk with the doctor. I don't like embarrassing guests with some of these Bible things. I know not everybody believes the Bible.
Well, he does. He would have been really a good person to have answered what you're saying. He probably would have been right on with what you were talking about and been able to answer back for sure. So no. Don't ever be embarrassed about that. Thank you for your call, Don. Don't ever be embarrassed about that. I mean, some people want to call in about God, Jesus. Some people want to call in about devil and this or that or whatever. As much as we hear about an alien, a praying mantis looking alien, an insect looking alien, and we can hear it all here. That's what's great about it. And everything is phenomenal across the board, no matter what. And no, you're not going to get that. Not from me. You're not going to get that. One of my friends, Lynn Buchanan, who's on here a lot as a remote viewer, it was interesting that they did so many different targets with the remote viewers to learn not just, what the enemy's doing on the other side or anything like that, but also when they saw what they were could find out with the remote viewers, they asked them about different life things and questions that we all wonder. And again, I'm selling Lynn's book. Hey, Lynn, I want 50% of everything that gets sold tonight. If you read his book, The Seventh Sense, he discusses one of the targets was Jesus. And the very first thing he even picked up he doesn't know what the target is, right? When you're remote viewing, you don't know the target till later. But the very first thing he got was, I'm trying to think the exact words were, he didn't do what he was accused of. That was the first thing he got. And then he went in, further and into the session and learned so much, came back, and it was like, oh my gosh, he talked about the love and how incredible. And so don't ever, some people, I don't know why people deny others of when people want to talk about the Bible, they want to talk about God, they want to talk about Jesus. I mean, are they the same people? I'm sure they have something they want to talk about, and I'm sure they don't like to be denied. So just open your minds, listen to everybody, because one of the things that, and this was the point I was getting to with Lynn, is he had found out through a lot of the remote viewing sessions that they had was everybody's got a little piece of something right. We don't have it all right. And if somebody tells you they know it all, there's just absolutely no way. There's just no way. And there's just no way you can know it all. You can know a lot and maybe more than another in an area, but I just don't think that we can know it all. I think there's not only what we don't know, but what we don't know that we don't know is even bigger piece of the pie, right? I think a lot of you can stand with that. First time caller, let's talk to, is it Delisa from Big Creek? Is it Delisa?
Yes.
That's a sweet name, Delisa. I like that. How are you? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. I'm really excited to get through. I listen to the show every night on my way home from work. I have two questions. The first one is a burning question that everyone has. Do dogs go to heaven?
And that's what we were talking about earlier. I don't know if you got to hear that. We were talking with Jeff about that, Dr. Jeffrey Long. And through his research and what he's found out with his studies is that was a yes, that when you as an owner went to the other side, it was like your love connections. And he said you would meet back up with your animals.
Oh, my goodness.
And I believe it already myself, too, right?
I love that. Okay, so the second question, if someone is living a bad lifestyle or they're doing something bad, before they die, is there like that moment, is there a chance for them to call out and basically just be forgiven, right before they die?
Well, I wish he was here to tell you about his studies, or Joe here about his studies, or all the different people, because, you're going to get a lot of answers with that. Some people say, hey, it doesn't matter. You go on the other side, you're going to be just the same. It's all full of love. It's a whole new thing. You're automatically forgiven. And then other people will say, no, you're going to go straight to hell. So, again, I can't tell you what Dr. Jeffrey Long had found out, but I can tell you that a lot of people have different answers to that. And, you can go into the religious aspect as well as, taking Jesus as the Son of God, and then you're forgiven and everything goes well too. So it can go in all sorts of different areas for that answer. So there you go. That's what I can give you is that. So I do appreciate the phone call, because those are questions that we all have, right? It's like, oh man, is this going to be the case? But everybody's got a different answer for sure. And that's about as far as I can go with that. I'm on your side of asking those questions myself. I do believe, that's where it goes into the free will with a lot of people talking about free will. Well, hey, they still have free will to do that. In fact, I remember talking to someone that a lot of people would say, yeah, all those people are forgiven and they're fine. But then other people go, no, they're going straight to hell. Anyway, I don't know the answers. I can just listen to your questions for the most part. Let's go to wildcard line number 4 and talk to Lee. He's trucking in South Carolina. Be safe as you are driving. You're on the air.
Hey, Connie, the first time caller.
Hey there, Lee. Well, drive safe. Did you pull over?
I'm out of the truck now. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
A couple of quick stories, and I got a question. My grandfather was born in 1922, and he took care of his aunt that was a really old lady at the time, and she was about to pass away. And he heard some screaming in the bedroom at the other end of the house, and so he runs to the bedroom where she is, and she was blind, and she used to be, in her younger days, a prostitute and all this kind of stuff. Well, she was very he said she was a very wicked type woman, and he heard her screaming. Anyway, he ran in there, and she said, "Hurry, hurry, pull me out of here! My feet is on fire. They're dragging me down." And he tried to pull her out of bed, and then she passed away. So, now I don't know if she was going to hell or, whatever. But another story from him, his wife passed away, and then about 2 years later, I was taking care of him, and I went in his bedroom where the hospice was there, and he was looking at me and saying, "Look, there's May." That was his wife and my grandmother. She's at the door waving at me, telling me to come on. And a few seconds later, he passed away. Now, my question is, most religious people believe that when you're absent from the body, that you're present with the Lord. And if that's the case, and everybody says when they go over to the other side that they don't want to come back. It's like, it's so beautiful, I didn't want to come back. Well, how does people see their loved ones in front of them, but they're supposed to be in the presence of God after they pass away? That's the confusing part, is how do they actually see them if they're in another realm? Does God dispatch them back to get their loved ones, and then, they're going back and forth, or what? It's kind of confusing. I wouldn't want to leave a place if it was such a beautiful place to come back to the earth.
I know. I want to stay. I don't want to leave tomorrow or anything, but I look forward to getting there. He was talking about that you would sense who people are, but he also said, I remember asking him that specifically, and he was talking about you would know who they were. They are physical. You'd see them again, but then it was different too. Maybe a lot of that's a knowing, the connection of who is who and what is what. And, remember, and we're just talking about Jeff. I should have had him stick around so he can answer these questions, but definitely look him up and talk to him. But remember, he also just got the near-death experience. They were just there for a very short time and came back. They didn't get to hang out with conversations and, journey into whatever was next. They kind of were there and go, oh my goodness, look at all this. And here's everybody that I ever knew and loved. But he also said, hey, it's a different world. It's like if you were married to somebody, it wouldn't be like, okay, now we're married again there. It's kind of, they've all said that that's a very different thing, and to never worry about being with someone else in your life after, if your spouse passed away and you've got another 20, 30, 40, whatever years ahead of you. Don't think you're going to be in trouble or anything like that. So it's all very different, but I don't know. I think when it happens, we're all going to be like, yeah, at least I hope so. I don't know. Joe earlier was saying it might be, some negative stuff too. So we got to watch out for that. Be good. Yeah. Be good out there on that road when you're driving around. No road rage from you. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
No, thank you.
None of that. Watch these other people, right? Defense driving. Oh man. You guys, these are the toughest questions ever. I don't have the answers for them. I listen. I hear what you guys have to say. I hear what other people have to say. I know that we've all been brought up by our parents in some way, our churches, our schools, our, whatever community you grew up in, with different answers. And here we are, all of us with more answers. And again, going back to Lynn Buchanan again, he's like, everybody has a piece of it. And it's kind of all of the things that everybody says it is. And he said that he could understand how people would come up and say, well, this is what's going to happen, or this is going to happen. Because he said with his remote viewing sessions into death, these are the things that they would see, all the different things, whether it was a purgatory, whether it was just darkness, whether it was just going right into a new life. So all kinds of really interesting, fun things. Wow. I'm telling you, it was a good evening. Thanks so much. The show was, he's an amazing guest. And then you guys come in with some incredible phone calls. Even him, he's like, he loves to answer phone calls because he's like, I hear questions that I've never heard before. And he's just so happy with that. And me too. I enjoy it too. I just wish I could give you some answers, but that's why we have Coast to Coast, right? We're all trying to look into the unknown. I appreciate you guys all calling in. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, please write in and say, I love the show. It's so fun. It's so nice. I enjoy it so much. So Dr. Jeffrey Long, again, thank you so much for coming in. Now, tomorrow night, got to pull up my names here because Regan Forston is going to be with us tomorrow night, as well as Dave the Mystic. And I hope that you guys can join me tomorrow night. I think that's going to be a good time. So again, say thanks, everybody. And from the foothills of the Colorado Rockies, I want to thank the entire team that makes up Coast to Coast AM. And that is Julie Talbot and Bill May, Lisa Lyon, Tommy Danheiser, Dan Galani, Stephanie Smith, Mike Cosio, Lex Lonehood, Shanla DeSuer, Tim Banal, Gina Salvati with us tonight, Donna Walker, Ryan Stacy, Chris Burrows, Adam Thompson, Ian Punnett, you know him, Lisa Garr, you know her, Richard Searett, you know him, George Knapp, you know him, and the man behind it all, Mr. George Norrie. That's the Coast to Coast AM team, and without them, we would not be putting this together for you. So thank you so much. So until we meet again, join me tomorrow night here on Coast to Coast AM, but I'll be at Blue Rock Talk. Go to ConnieWillis.com